himself as one with thee. No, he is also one with every other.
Thank you, Ram. I invite all participants and our speaker, Vani Vasudev. All of us remember, or most of us can recall, last week's how the mind basically is nothing but the I thought. It originates actually from the I thought. But it's not so easy to identify and segregate, and Vani showed very well illustrated with an example of chameleon. How the chameleon merges with the background colors, the same way mind gets merged. So it's not very easy as we think, because it's always plays the tricks. Then another one I remember very well, and I'm sure most of you also remember, whenever I look at the mirror, I recall that the metaphor by which she showed the baby, and how when the mirror actually breaks into a lot of small pieces, then the baby thinks there are a lot of other babies. And that is how we forget that there is a unifying divinity, and we focus more on diversity than unity. So with that, I have one question, but I don't want to ask now. I'll ask at the end. So I now request Vani to begin the program.
Thank you, Jankiram. Thank you, Ram, for chanting the school prayer so beautifully. And I wish all of you a very, very happy Ganesh Chaturthi. And I'm so happy that this satsang has fallen on Ganesh Chaturthi day, because when I was looking through the shlokas, we will be looking at it at the end of the session also, how the symbology of Ganesha and the story of how Ganesha was born, it all fits in so beautifully into the meaning of the shlokas. So you'll also be celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi by understanding the symbology of Ganesha in the light of self-enquiry. So a warm welcome to all of you. And I thank all the organizers, Sajani, Jankiram, Malti, Veena, Ravi, all those who are responsible for organizing this beautiful, all the programs of the school, in fact. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, we have so many programs going on. They're giving us wisdom in so many ways. And I thank Ram for being at the head of the affairs in the school. His quiet presence is powering everything, just like the presence of the self powers everything that we do. Thank you so much, Ram. So I will just open the presentation. As Jankiram summarized last time's session with the examples, we'll also be chanting the shlokas that we handled last time, and then we'll take it on there. I think this time, probably everybody's focus in the celebration would have been more inwards, because we are at home and we have less to distract us. So we come to the 18th shloka. Just let me know whether it's visible to all of you.
It's visible.
Thank you, Ravi. So we are looking at shloka. Chant it once. Briefly recall the meaning. So same thing again with the 19th shloka, and then after that we move on. So I'll chant. Let's repeat together with the mic on mute. वृत्तयस्त्वहं वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयस्त्वहं वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयो मनो विद्यहं मनः वृत्तयो मनो vidyaham manah. So here Sri Ramana Maharshi is saying the mind is nothing but thoughts. Thoughts are mind. These thoughts depend upon the I thought. The I thought is the belief I am the body, mind and intellect. So Ramana is saying understand that the mind is this I thought. So we looked at 3 equations. Thoughts are equal to mind. Thought are equal to I thought. Therefore, mind is equal to I thought. So we looked at these chameleon examples, as Janki Ramji reminded us, that the I thought is very good at hiding itself with the 3 instruments. When it refers to the body also, we say I. We say I am tired, or I am hungry, or I am thirsty. When it refers to the mind also, we say I, the same I. We use the same word I, but actually we are referring to the mind this time. We say, I am so happy today, or I'm feeling a little off mood. So there we are referring to the mind. And then we talk about the intellect and we say, I have to analyze the situation and come up with the right decision. I just have one day to do that. So there we are referring to the intellect. So in split, not even in seconds, it's like a moment, not even an eye blink. So quickly, the eye camouflages between the 3 instruments. And then suddenly it will say, I am the self, I am infinite. So there again, it is camouflaging with the self. So how do we find this I thought? Is something we need to look at. We looked at last time also. We also said I has a magnetic quality. This I am the BMI has a magnetic quality. So all other thoughts it will keep attracting, just like a magnet is attracted. By ion filings are attracted to the magnet. We looked at this parable by Swami Ramtirtha, and we saw how the child plays with the mirror and the mirror breaks into pieces. We looked at the relationship between I, the absolute, I am, which is Sat and Chit, existence, reflection of the absolute in the intellect. Then we looked at what is the I thought, the I am getting attached to the 3 instruments, body, mind and intellect. Then how more and more pieces, all the objects of the world will come and get attached to the I thought. But if all of that is removed, still the original image remains intact. It is undisturbed, it is unaffected. So this we understood from this parable. Then we came to Shloka 19. Let's chant this. Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah. Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah. Aipatatyaham nija vicharanam. Aipatatyaham nija vicharanam. Here, Sri Ramana is saying, ask, from where does this I thought arise? Don't just say, okay, this is the I thought, but question, from where is this I thought arising? So on inquiring deeply like this, the I thought vanishes. This is self-enquiry. I'm not going to deal with this in detail. We looked at it last time. So we also looked at the real meaning of sannyasa. Sannyasa is only a renunciation of the I thought and not rejection of external objects. When the I thought is gone, you can remain in the midst of your usual life, fulfill all your responsibilities, relate to everything, but remain detached. We have the lotus leaf example also for this. In water, the leaf of the lotus, it's actually floating on water. But if you put water on the leaf, all of us would have done it as children, these water droplets become like pearls of water and they just roll away. They don't wet the leaf at all. So though we are in samsara, though we continue to be there in the world, once the I thought has been we have let go of the I, we have dropped the I thought, then that is sannyasa. When the I thought is not there, nothing can come and stick to us. So true sannyasa is internal. The outer garb is a external indication. Anybody can be a householder or can be in any state in life, and they could be in a state of sannyasa if they have dropped the I thought. And Bhagavan in this answer also says, somebody may be meditating all the time, maybe in a state of sadhana all the time, but if they have not dropped the I thought, then the sense of doership remains in them. Whereas in a jnani, who has dropped this false identity, he has no sense of doership, though he may be involved in tasks from morning till night. So Bhagavan told us about the true meaning of sannyasa. We looked at this story also, Queen Chudala and King Shikhidhwaja. But I'm not going to go into the story again. We also looked at the example of Sri Narayana Iyer, a devotee of Bhagavan, and how Bhagavan oriented him towards the self. Though he was a skeptic, Bhagavan oriented him towards the self and told him to practice sadhana by reading a shloka of 40 verses on reality. Ulladu, Narpadu or Satdarshanam. The same can be done with Upadesa Saram also, because every shloka is a portal to truth. You may think, why has Bhagavan written 30 shlokas? 30 shlokas, why do you need? The truth is, you are not the body, mind, and intellect. You are the infinite self. You are bliss. You are peace. You are the substratum of all existence. So to tell that one truth, why are there so many Upanishads? Why are there? Why is the Bhagavad Gita there? Why is the Brahma Sutra there? Why does Bhagavan need 30 shlokas in this? And why does Bhagavan need 40 shlokas in Saddarshanam and so many other compositions? Why does so much have to be written about it? That's because there is a big bandwidth of seekers. There are so many of us, and each one of us, though we may be twins, even twins have a difference in the way they think. So there's a huge bandwidth in how we look at the truth, how we perceive something, how we understand something, how we apply something. So there is a vast difference in that. Because of that, every shloka will speak to you in a different way. So some may relate to one shloka, some may relate to another shloka. That is one thing. One more thing is, Bhagavan is giving us a step-by-step, very methodical, extremely systematic. He is giving us a very systematic way of approaching the truth. From one shloka to the next shloka, there is just one step. If you have gone to some hills or temples, some steps may be very big, almost like 1.5 feet or 2 feet. It's difficult to climb, and other steps may be very shallow. But here, Bhagavan is giving us nice, shallow steps, easy climb. All steps are even. From one step to the next step to the next step, easy, gradual, a sweet way of progressing. Another reason is, each shloka is like a portal. Now, if you go to a big temple, maybe like Arunachala temple, or you go to Madurai Meenakshi temple, they're like mini cities or Rangam. So they have so many portals. You can enter through many different gateways. At least minimum you have 4 gateways, even in the outermost wall. So it gives you different doorways through which you can enter and approach the truth. If you enter from one doorway, you may see different things. If you enter from the other doorway, you may see different things. But finally, you arrive at the sanctum sanctorum. You arrive at the Garbhagriha. So here, we are so fortunate that Sri Ramana Maharshi is giving us 30 different portals through which we can enter and approach the truth. So it's a beautiful way to go through the composition. And as we go through it, you should just remember we have one more portal now. With every shloka, remember one more entryway. So let's chant the 20th shloka. Ahamináṣabhágyaham taya ahamináṣabhágyaham taya Spurati hridsvayam paramapurnasat Spurati hridsvayam paramapurnasat Ahami nasha bhaji. Bhagavan is saying, when the aham or the I thought is nasha, destroyed, when the I thought is destroyed, then what happens? Ham aham taya spurati kritsvayam. Spurati is to reveal itself, to spring up. So spurati, it reveals itself in the heart or in consciousness. What reveals itself? Aham, aham. So he is saying I. To differentiate between I thought and the self, Bhagavan has coined a new phrase that is called I-I. So the I thought is a discontinuous entity. When we go to sleep, it is in suspension. In a dream state, it appears in a different body. In a waking state, it takes up a different form. So in deep sleep, there is no form. So it is discontinuous in the way it appears. It is not consistent. It is not constant. But this I, Bhagavan is saying, is constant. I denotes there is a continuity. It is like two people holding hands. So the hyphen joins the two I's and it gives it a continuity. So he says this I appears. So let's just, next shloka also adds on to this, but we'll look at the next shloka after some time. What Bhagavan is reminding us here actually is there are many beliefs about self-realization. So many different beliefs are there. I sat for meditation today. So in my meditation, either today or every day or on many days, I see different lights. I can see my own chakras, beautiful colors, movements. My entire body appears to be made up of light. When I look at somebody, I see that they are also made up of light. So all these are experiences. Meditative experiences, they are beautiful when they happen. They make the journey interesting. But Sri Ramana says, it is like sightseeing. Right? It's like looking out of a window. I'm going from Bangalore to Mysore or from Bangalore to Chennai in my car or in the train. And then as I cover the distance between the two places, I keep looking out of the window. I glance out of the window. So when I glance out, I may see green paddy fields, or the lavender blossoms of the sugarcane, or very tall, beautiful trees. I may see a sunrise or a sunset or a river or the ocean, or I may see buildings, I may see a temple or a church. So these are, by the way, I am going from Bangalore to Mysore. My destination is Mysore, but as I travel, I see many beautiful things. So like that, I am on a journey to self-knowledge. On the way, these are byproducts. All the visions and the experiences, the beautiful things that we feel when we are meditating, all these are experiences. And Vedanta says, Bhagavan says, experience is not the reality. It comes and it goes. I cannot have the same experience again and again. Or I have it for 1 hour while I'm meditating, but I'm out of meditation, it's gone. Jagat, that which comes and goes, is not real. Therefore, an experience is nice to have, but don't get attached to it, says Bhagavan. And don't think, more than anything else, don't think that is self-knowledge. It certainly is not. It's just a part of the sightseeing, looking out of the window and seeing something nice on your way to the destination. This is another belief. Paranormal powers. Somebody can read another person's mind. Someone can prophesy and look at the future, and they can say what is going to happen. Or I have put a picture here. A boy is looking at a spoon, and the spoon is bending. You can see it is bent backwards. So that is called telekinesis. So some people can develop the power of their mind so much, to such a great degree, that by focusing the mind on an object, they can actually make it move with the power of the mind. But in spite of all these paranormal powers, finally, that also comes and goes. It cannot bring you lasting happiness. It cannot bring you lasting peace. In fact, you want more and more powers, and then sometimes those powers fail. Somebody asks you to, for a test in a lab, you go and do it. It has been found out of people who have so many occult powers, they actually have those powers. But when you go and try to manifest it in a lab, sometimes they can make it work, sometimes they can't. It is not certain. And even if it is only a latent potential power of the mind, a higher power of the mind. But it cannot bring you happiness. It cannot bring you peace. It cannot give you lasting, what shall I say, lasting peace and happiness, which the self can, which knowledge of the self can, which identifying with the self can give us. So paranormal powers, they may be impressive, may be useful. They can also pull you away from the journey. They can sidetrack you. Self-knowledge begins to seem unimportant. People pay a lot of attention. They may pay money. They may ask you to come and help. They praise you. Ego starts bloating, and you start using those powers, and you forget about self-knowledge. So that danger is very real. So Bhagavan is saying paranormal powers are not self-realization. An event. Some people think there is an event called self-realization. So they're looking forward to that event to happen. Like a devotee, Mirabai was immersed in Lord Krishna. Prahlada was immersed in Narayana. So you're immersed in the thought of some deity, your Ishta Devata, all the time. And if that Ishta Devata manifests in front of us, is that self-realization? We did go through this point when we were looking at Bhakti Yoga, so I'm not going to give a very long explanation, except to say that it is not self-realization. Because even the manifestation of your Ishtadevata is only the play of a very pure mind, a mind that has undergone a lot of Chitta Shuddhi, that is very, very pure and focused, and is focusing only on one thought. Remember, Chitta Shuddhi means Eka Chintana. It is ability of the mind to focus on one thought to the exclusion of everything else. So, when the mind goes on focusing on the form of a Ishtadevata through 24 bar 7 bar 365, it goes on doing it, then what happens? That form, the mind itself will take the form of the Ishtadevata and manifest in front of you. A wonderful experience, a purifying experience, an exhilarating experience, an ecstatic experience or event, but it is not self-realization. Because even there is a separation between God and devotee. So when separation, when there is duality, it is not self-knowledge. Then we come to many yogic states. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi. So in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when we are in the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, temporarily there is no mind. There is no sense of individuality. There is no sense of duality. It is bliss. It is oneness. But the minute the sadhak comes out of the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, once again the subtle purified ego, no doubt, but it still arises again. So it has not been destroyed. It is not a permanent state. It is a go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, come out of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It is in and out. The state outside is different, the state inside is different. So it is drawing a boundary of time and space. When I am meditating, then I am in a state of utter bliss. There is no two, there is just one. But the minute I come out of it, once again duality comes back. So though it is highly purifying, though it gives you a total taste of what self-knowledge is, still it is not the state of complete self-realization. All this Bhagavan is telling us through this shloka. He's saying self-realization is not an experience, not an event, not a temporary state, not exercising of metaphysical powers. It is our natural way of being. Samadhi, we also looked at that when we looked at the 15th shloka. What is the state of being of a enlightened Mahatma or a Sadguru? We understood that you don't have to make any effort. You are that, that's all. So it's like you don't have to make an effort to, from the morning, from the time you get up, I'm a man, or I'm a woman. You don't have to keep remembering. You know. It is there. It's a given. So the same way, identifying with the self, staying in the awareness that I am the self, becomes so natural, no effort is required. That is called Sahaja Samadhi. So only that is the state of self-realization. Bhagavan is telling us through this shloka. Now, this beautiful story, an anecdote from the life of Rabindranath Tagore. He is our national poet. He is the author of Janagana Mana, our national anthem. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature. We all read Geetanjali or many other poems or plays or books authored by Tagore. So Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore was the son of Rabindranath Tagore, who was a very, very wealthy man. So the family of the Tagores, they owned huge amount of land, many, many villages, like thousands and thousands of acres of land was owned by the family of Tagores. So through these acreage, beautiful villages, there flowed a river also. A lovely river surrounded by forests, so peaceful. And often Rabindranath Tagore, he owned a small houseboat. He would get into this houseboat and just float away on the river for months together, enjoying some alone time. A lot of creativity would blossom inside him, and he would really enjoy those voyages on his houseboat on the river. So one day he is on the houseboat, inside the houseboat, and he's reading a very complicated book on aesthetics. It is night and he's lit up a candle. By the light of the candle, he's sitting and reading a book. So it becomes later and later in the night, and he thinks, okay, enough reading for. So he just closes the book and he blows out the candle because he's done with reading. The minute he blows out the candle, moonlight seems to rush into the room. He says literally it rushed into the room and filled up every nook and cranny and began to dance inside the room. Remember, moonlight falling on the water and then getting reflected inside will give you dancing lights. We have seen that happening with sunlight. And Tagore says, it was overwhelming for me, the beauty and how the realization that the moonlight was there all the time. When I went out on deck of the houseboat and I looked up, the moon was in the sky. The full moon was in the sky. It was reflecting as though there is a pathway from my houseboat to the moon, and maybe I could walk on it and reach the moon. Silent forests, just chopping off some crickets. So quiet, so peaceful, so beautiful, so full of light. And I thought, all this beauty was there from such a long time, and one tiny candle which I had lit in the room was preventing me from even cognizing this beauty, even being aware that this beauty is there, that this sunlight is there. So he says, that is when I understood how the small flame of the ego can blind you to the light of the effulgent light of the self, which is brighter than 1,000 suns. That is the light of awareness. It is not true light. Neither is the flame of the ego a true flame. But our obsession, our fixation on this false identification that Deha Bhava, I am this body, it is preventing us from cognizing the self, which is there all the time. So for this, we come to Bhagavan Buddha and the concept of nirvana. Nirvana is actually a Sanskrit word, and in Pali, it was made into Nibbana. So Buddhism talks about Nibbana. Literally speaking, nirvana means putting out, like a candle, just blow a candle out. So it is like putting out a candle or extinguishing the flame of a lamp or a fire. That is the literal meaning of nirvana. Nirvana, in spiritual terms, means a complete extinction or annihilation of the feeling of individuality. So when the individuality or the I thought, or I am the BMI thought, when that thought is extinguished permanently, remember we said even in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, During the samadhi time, it is not there, and then the subtle ego comes back, purified ego, but still it comes back when we come out of the samadhi. But here, Buddha is saying complete extinction, absolute extinction, final extinction. It cannot come back. So, like that thought is dropped once and for all. When the I thought is not there, then obviously none of the attendant desires or bandha vasanas, the vasanas that bind you, the tendencies that bind you. Mine, this is mine, this belongs to me. This is my self-image, I need to protect it. So all those thoughts also drop away. So desires will drop away, attachments will drop away. But if that dropping away has to be permanent, if it is not suppression, but it is actual renunciation, it is actual tyaga or vairagya, then the central thought, the seed thought, the magnet, that has to be dropped. That is the I thought. When the I thought goes, everything else automatically goes. Last time we had taken up the example of a big tree. Remember? A very big tree with many branches and many leaves. If we start plucking out one leaf after another, it will take any number of lifetimes. And as we pluck out leaves, new leaves will spring up. So what was the formula Bhagavan gave us last time? He said, don't pay attention. Starve the tree of attention. So when you pay attention to the self and you stop paying attention to the I am the BMI thought, then automatically the tree will die. Tree doesn't get water of attention, so it dies. So leaves will fall off on their own. I think Janki Ramji posted some question, but I'm not able to see the chat when I'm presenting. So if it is related
Answer at the end,
to what
because
we are discussing, can you?
The thought came to me, I put the question, answer at the end.
Sorry?
Answer at the end, no problem.
Okay, fine. Okay. So this is actually nirvana. And this is what Bhagavan is talking about when he says, drop the I thought. Then we have a quote by Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya, the great Advaitin, the great Vedantin, the great Jagadguru, who has made Advaita Vedanta simple for all of us through his commentaries, through his fundamental granthas like Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, and so on. So he says, a very simple way to understand he puts forward for us. He says, you never identify yourself with the shadow cast by your body. Do we? Our shadow moves on the road, cars pass over the shadow, our shadow may fall into puddles, shadow may fall over thorny areas. So shadow may fall anywhere and people may walk over it. People may throw mud on it. People may throw water on it. But we don't say, I'm getting dirty, I'm getting hurt. Stop it. Don't do that. Can't you make out that's my shadow? No. Why? Because we have not identified with the shadow. So, or with the reflection of the body. We look at reflection in the mirror. We say, I am the body and the reflection is not me. We don't have to say it. We assume. It's an assumed knowledge. So we don't identify ourselves with the shadow cast by the body. We don't identify ourselves with the reflection of the body. We don't identify with the dream body. Once we come out of the dream, while we are in the dream, yes, we do identify with the dream body. But once we wake up, we no longer identify with the dream body. And sometimes we all have daydreams, don't we? We're sitting, good daydreams or bad daydreams, and we're thinking, okay, once Corona goes away, situation becomes a little normal. I'm going to go and visit all my friends. I'm going to go abroad. I wanted to go to Greece. I wanted to go to Italy. I wanted to go to Switzerland. And then you imagine yourself, you're skiing in the Alps, or you're sitting in a gondola and in the going on the canals of Venice. So you may imagine doing so many things. Or you may just imagine yourself in your son or daughter's house in USA or England or somewhere. Then after some time, you have to come out of the daydream, right? We have to come out of the daydream to attend to other tasks around us. So then what happens? There was a character in my daydream, which I myself created, myself imagined. But once I come out of the daydream, I'm no longer identifying with that character. Even when the daydream is happening somewhere in some corner of my mind, I know I'm not really in USA, I'm not really in Venice, not really in Greece right now, just imagining it. So just like we don't identify with the shadow cast by the body or with its reflection or with the body that we dawn in a dream or with the daydreams. When we imagine, we create a character doing some things. We don't identify with any of them seriously. Therefore, Shankaracharya says, you should not identify yourself with this living body either, because this entire thing is actually a waking dream. We just don't feel it is a dream because each time we get up, we come back to the same thing. Because body, mind, intellect, identity, it is kept alive for a lifetime. The entire lifetime is a dream. So if we want to understand that this is a dream, we need to wake up. So a Sadguru will come and wake us up. If you're having a nightmare, our spouse or a parent or a child may come and wake you up. Mama, Papa, Grandpa, Grandma, why are you screaming? What happened? Come on, wake up. So then we wake up and we realize what we were seeing in the dream is not true. That's over. It's no longer a domain of reality for me. I'm out of that domain. So if we have to realize that this is a dream, then we need to wake up to the fact that I am not the BMI. When I drop the BMI, the identity with the BMI, then automatically that is waking up. Otherwise, I will not be able to wake up from this dream. So here Shankaracharya is saying, stop identifying with this body, then automatically there is an end to all suffering in your life. That is all that is required to drop your suffering. Drop the false identity, you have dropped the suffering also. So here we have two quotes corroborating the same thing from the Ishavasya Upanishad. One is, must not divide our conception of the universe. For if we divide, we have only fragmentary knowledge and we thus limit ourselves. So how are we fragmenting our concept of the universe? We are fragmenting by saying inside and outside. Inside the body, mind and intellect, it is me. Outside, it is not me. The minute we fragment, then I am not able to understand the rest of the universe. And I am not able to understand myself also. So neither inside nor outside, I will be able to understand completely when I draw an arbitrary boundary. The next quote that we have here is, he who sees all beings in his self and his self in all beings never suffers. So I put a picture on the top. We see Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is creating the universe. So you can take it as Ishvara also, because in Vedanta, the creator is Ishvara, Saguna Brahman, the manifest Brahman. The creator is called Ishvara. So he is creating the universe. And if you see, there are bubbles coming out from him, and every bubble, maybe at this scale it is not visible, but every bubble has Ishvara inside. So every atom of creation has the energy of the creator in it. The creator is present in every atom of creation. Vasudeva, the one who lives in every being, the God who lives in every being, the God who inhabits every atom. So creator and creation are not different. They are the one and the same. Only thing is, we should realize that the substratum is the self. The minute we forget the substratum and take only creation as real, we are in trouble. That's why Shankaracharya says, Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Paraha. Mithya, Jagat Mithya, Jagat, that which comes and goes. That means creation, constantly changing creation. It is Mithya. What do we mean by Mithya? Mithya doesn't mean unreal. Mithya means that which does not have a permanence, that which is temporary, that which is constantly changing. So that is Mithya. It appears to exist, but in actuality, it has no power of its own. It is dependent on the substratum. Without the substratum, it collapses. There's no reality on its own. It is a dependent reality. So that is Mithya. It is not absolute reality. Whereas the self is absolute reality. We saw in the parable of the child and the mirror. If all the pieces of mirror where the child is getting reflected again and again and again, it is gathered up and thrown away, does anything happens to the original child? So the child is not dependent on the reflection, but the reflection is dependent on the child. If there is no child, there cannot be a reflection of the child. So this entire Jagat or manifestation or creation is a dependent reality. It cannot be independent. That is what is meant by Mithya. Therefore, it is only an appearance. But Shankaracharya doesn't stop there. He says, Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. When you understand that Jiva, this individual, which you are thinking is different, is none other than Brahman itself. So when we looked at the mind is nothing but Brahman. If it is turned towards Brahman and if it disidentifies with all the content, with the BMI thought and all the other thoughts, if it disidentifies, then it is nothing but the self in essence. Therefore, Shankaracharya is saying, as long as you think that this dependent reality or the Jagat is the sole reality, you think that is the only domain of reality, then it is illusion. You are caught in illusion. You feel that you are imprisoned. But the minute you realize that whatever you think you are is also only the substratum. You never were this body, mind, and intellect. You've always been the substratum. The minute you shift to the substratum and you see Brahman in creation, then you are not trapped in suffering. So, he who sees all beings in his self and his self in all beings never suffers. So when the individual, the flame of individuality is blown out, when you drop the belief, when you drop the thought that I am the body, mind, and intellect, what happens? I was always there. The self was always there. But you were obsessed with the false identity. So the minute you drop that, what happens? There is a large identity. Instead of being only this one body, mind, intellect, you're the whole of creation. You become Ishvara. And the entire creation is your body. That is why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa tells Vivekananda, when he is not able to swallow even a thin spoon of thin gruel, and Vivekananda tells him, why don't you ask the Divine Mother to allow you to swallow some spoons of gruel at least, Thakur? So Ramakrishna says, do you know what the mother told me? She said, you're eating through so many mouths, millions of mouths. Do you also want to eat through this mouth? Is it necessary? So that is the Ishvara Bhava. This body, you are not identified with body, mind, and intellect anymore. Therefore, the whole of creation is your body. So I includes the whole of creation, but more important, whether creation is there or not there, it continues to exist. It is the self, the substratum. It is unlimited. It is independent. It is the cause without a cause. It is the unborn. It is the deathless. It is the changeless. So it is always there. So one who has dropped the small I, feeling of I am the body, he can identify with all beings. All beings are in his self. He is the self, and the entire manifest creation is manifesting only in the self. We can see the self reflected in all beings. Can you see how every bubble has Ishvara in it? Then we have Yashoda and Krishna. What happened when she asked him to open his mouth? Balrama came and said, you know, Mother, Krishna is eating mud. Really? Let me go and catch him. Krishna runs, she catches him, and then she says, did you eat mud? No, Mother. Don't tell me a lie. Open your mouth. He opens his mouth. And what does she see? The three lokas in the mouth. But actually it is a temporary state where she experiences the self, a taste of the self. So he who sees all beings in his self and his self in all beings never suffer. Why do we suffer? We get competitive and we suffer. Someone will do better than me. We get insecure and we suffer. We worry about others and we suffer. We feel separation anxiety when children are far away, when spouse is somewhere else, grandchildren are somewhere else, corona is everywhere, what is happening? We feel separate and we suffer. We hate somebody, we suffer. We want to take a grudge against somebody and we suffer. We like someone very much, but that person doesn't like us and we suffer. But when everyone is a part of the self and you are there in everyone and there's only love, there is no suffering. Because you know, this whole thing is a dream, but it is a dream for the evolution of an individual soul. The individual soul or the BMI, I am the BMI, person who is identifying with I am the BMI will evolve. And finally, they will drop that I am the BMI thought. So when everyone is a part of the self and his self is reflected in all beings, whatever I am, I see in other people. So if I am angry, then I see anger. If I'm judgmental, then if I'm judgmental about myself, I'm judgmental about other people also. But if I'm nothing but peace and love and bliss, I see that in everybody. So that is what Ishavasya Upanishad is saying. It is only the separation that is bringing the suffering. So in Vedanta, the biggest sin, the greatest sin that anybody can commit, the sin of separation. You separate yourself from other beings, you separate yourself from God. That is the greatest sin, and out of that big sin will come all suffering. Just drop the thought of I am the body, automatically suffering goes away. So this is what Ishavasya Upanishad is also telling us. We come to Shloka 21. Let's chant it. Idamaham padabhikyamanvaham. Idamaham padabhikyamanvaham. Ahamilinake yalaya sattaya. Ahamilinake yalaya sattaya. So here in the first line of the shloka, Bhagavan is telling us, idam aham, this I. Idam aham pada, the word, this word I, abhikyam anvaham, from now on, in this composition of Upadesa Saram, from now onwards, whenever Bhagavan is going to use the word I, it means I. So he is letting us know that from now onwards, for the next 21 to 30 shlokas, whenever this word I is used, I am referring to the I. That means he is referring to the self, the continuous self, in which there is no break, there is no change. Ahami leenake pyalaya sattaya. So when the I thought dissolves in sleep, the I thought temporarily dissolves. We know that, don't we? In sleep, in fact, in waking state, we are so worried about losing possessions, losing relationships, losing loved ones, losing a job, losing a project. So somewhere in the mind, insecurity is lurking. But when we go to sleep, we are happily letting go of everything. Isn't it? I'm letting go of everything, even this body which is so precious to me, this identity, the self-image which is so precious to me, my bank account which is so precious to me, all my loved ones who are around me, all my possessions, my beautiful palatial house, which I recently built, was praised by everybody, which has been featured in so many magazines. When I go to bed and I close my eyes, I willingly let go of all these possessions, including body, mind, and intellect, and I am in bliss. So it is not true that possessions are equal to happiness. That equation is not true. We are disproving it every night. I go to sleep, I'm proving it to myself every night. Without all possessions, without even my self-image, without even the I thought, so blissful in sleep. In fact, I long for that sleep. To make somebody, researchers have done experiments, not allowing people to sleep for some days. They go mad. They almost go mad. And then finally they say, I don't care about your experiment. I don't care about anything. Just let me sleep for some time. So the bliss of sleep, where we get rejuvenated, where we get a taste of the self without being aware that it is the self, is so precious to me. When I lie down, I let go of all possessions willingly and I embrace sleep. When I embrace sleep and I go into deep sleep, the thought is not there. And all thoughts which are attached to the I thought The world thought, the object thoughts, the image thought, all are gone because I thought is gone. So in deep sleep, the I thought disappears temporarily, but it disappears. Whereas the self remains. The self remains as the witness. That is why when I wake up, I am able to say, I slept well. I don't say Sajni slept well or Jankiram slept well or my husband Vasu slept well. Or I don't know what happened to me. Or who am I? Not the existential question, who am I? But the amnesia question. I woke up, I have no continuity to yesterday. If I had no continuity to yesterday, then yesterday I was somebody, I don't know who, because in my deep sleep, that I was not there. So now I'm waking up, I have no idea who I am. I can give myself another name, I can do something else. So the identity is gone. How is my identity maintained? Is that a miracle? I sleep in the night as Vani, as an architect, as somebody who is interested in Atma Vichara, as a person who is married with 2 daughters, all that. I sleep as that entity and I wake up as that entity. And how is that becoming possible? Only because the I is unbroken, constant, it is continuous, the witness was there. So because the witness was there, I know that I slept well, I had a wonderful dreamless sleep, and when I wake up, I know that I am Vani. I know what tasks I had planned for today and what I need to do. Everything is maintained intact. So this identity is being maintained because the I is constant through the 3 states. Otherwise, in my dream, maybe this particular dream last night, I was, let us say, a clown. For some reason, I find myself wearing a clown costume. I'm performing in a circus. So that dream entity, who is a clown, has no idea about the waking entity, who is an architect. And the waking entity, who is an architect, has gone into suspension. So that waking entity called Vani is not aware of the clown. And in deep sleep, there is neither waking entity nor dream entity. So you see how mutually exclusive the 3 states are. Dream state has nothing to do with the state of reality. All kinds of crazy things can happen in my dream, which never happen in reality. And what I do in reality, the dream character is not aware at all, because the dream character doesn't exist in my waking state. My waking character doesn't exist in my dream state. Neither the waking character nor the dream character exist in my deep sleep state. And how is it I am saying, I am awake, I slept, I dreamt? How can I say that? Only because this I is there. It was there continuously through all 3 states, Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, waking, dream and deep sleep. So all 3 states, the I was continuous. That is why it is called real. And that is giving me continuity between the 3 states of being, which are cyclic for me every 24 hours. So here Bhagavan is saying, how do you identify between I and I? If somebody says, then this is the answer. Bhagavan says, I is continuous through all three states, whereas the I thought disappears in deep sleep temporarily. In dream state, it is identifying with some other body. In waking state, it is identifying with some other body. So I is not constant. I will keep coming and going, whereas I is constant. So just as an analogy, I have taken this example of beads and a thread. So as children, we may have played with beads, threading beads into through a needle to a thread. You can make a necklace or a friendship bracelet, or you can make so many things with beads. Here we see a person is actually wearing a mask of beads, so it won't protect you against corona, so don't try it. Here we have a bracelet and then a necklace, somebody is holding it up. So in this analogy, the thread is the I. The same thread is running through all the beads, whether it is a mask or whether it is a bracelet or a necklace or any kind of thing made with beads. The same thread is running through all the beads. So that is the I. As the beads are made up of I thought and clusters of other thought. So if you see on the upper three pictures, we have mind turned outwards. So that mind is identifying with the world and with the body, mind, intellect as the sole domain of reality. This thinking, that is reality. There is nothing beyond that. So outward turned mind, then you may have different patterns happening with the beads, the I thought and the vasanas together. They may make ugly patterns or beautiful patterns. Here I have put beautiful patterns, but they could also be ugly patterns depending on what kind of vasanas they are and how they are expressed. But what we notice in all the upper three pictures is you hardly see the thread. Here and there you'll get a glimpse of the thread, but thread is not cognized. Once the object has been made, after that, even though it is only the thread that is holding up the entire creation. The mask is held up by the thread, the bracelet is held up by the thread, the necklace is held up by the thread. You remove the thread, everything falls. The beads will fall, roll away in different directions. The person who is wearing that is not really aware of the thread. Somebody comes and tells you, "Arey, this beautiful, this bracelet, so beautiful, yeah, pink and blue and so attractive." So the person praising the bracelet and I, who am wearing the bracelet, both of us are focusing on the beads. We have forgotten about the string. It's just there. It's not important. But somebody who starts doing sadhana, somebody starts self-enquiry, they're introduced to self-enquiry, they find it interesting, they find it absorbing, and they start applying self-enquiry, practicing sadhana. Then what happens? You see the left side bottom, there is a orange, green, blue, black beads and a black thread is coming. Suddenly the thread becomes important. It becomes important, starts gaining more importance than the beads. Still, there are a lot of beads there, but the thread is, it is displayed, it has been exposed, and it has been cognized. So, a sadhak starting on self-enquiry. Then we have advanced sadhak. What does advanced sadhak do? In the light of self-enquiry, in the light of the teachings of self-enquiry, lot of manana, lot of nitidhyasa. And as they go on doing contemplating and they start protecting that awareness which is generated by the teachings of self-enquiry. In contrast to forgetting about it most of the time, but remembering when you listen or when you read. So an advanced sadhak will protect that awareness through the day. So what happens? Wrong beliefs, disempowering beliefs, bandha vasanas will start getting dropped. So you see hardly any beads in this, just about 4 beads and the rest of it is string. More attention being given to I, less and less attention being given to BMI. I am the BMI, the I thought. So last one, we have one single blue bead and the rest is thread. So for Ajnani, he is the I. He is not doing sadhana anymore. He is established in the awareness of his true identity. Every moment he is aware, I am the self. I am I. There is no need to keep thinking about it. He is that. That is why Tattvam Asi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. That is the culminatory stage. It is over. You are anchored there. There is no longer any more sadhana required or samadhi required or anything. So, but one single transactional I thought is required for the sake of transacting in the world, for the sake of continuing activity in the world. So for that, one transactional ego, namka vaste, it is there. It is required, it is there, it is functional, that's all. But identity is the I. So I thought this would help us to realize. Then in the Bhagavad Gita, we have the Vishwarupa Darshana. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Krishna, show me your true form, Krishna. So far I thought you were my cousin, I thought you were my friend, now you are my charioteer, and I have always thought that you are my guide. What you have told me in the last 10 chapters, I find it mind-boggling. So much of wisdom. From where did it come? Where was it till now? Who are you, Krishna, actually? Show me your true form, Krishna. And then it is said that Krishna reveals his true form to Arjuna. So in this particular shloka, I've just taken one shloka. There are many shlokas describing this form. Tatraika stham jagat kritsnam pravibhaktam anekadha apashyad devadevasya sharire pandavaha tada. So at that time, when Krishna revealed his Vishwarupa to him, the Pandava or Arjuna saw in the body of the God of gods, the differentiated universe united in the one cosmic form. God of gods is the self, because even every deity or any form that we worship is a manifestation of the self. So the God of gods, in the body of the God of gods, that means for a moment, Arjuna was granted the state of Ishvara. What we see here is an artist's depiction. So we should not think that Arjuna actually saw all the deities together, all the human beings there, the globe there, the universe there, the cosmos there. No. For a few moments or a few minutes or however long that experience lasted, he could see all beings in his own self. Everybody was a part of the self. and the self was in everybody. This, all the description of the shlokas and all the pictures that we look at are only ways to communicate. But this is something that actually cannot be communicated. So we have to see what is behind communication. These are fingers that are pointing. Instead of looking at the fingers, we need to look at where are the fingers pointing. So this shloka is actually telling us the same thing that Bhagavan is saying. If you drop the I thought, then the I has the entire creation manifesting. It is appearing in the self only. So nobody is separate from you, and you are separate from no one. So we just come to the story of Ganesha for today, and we can wind up. Since it's Ganesh Chaturthi, I thought it's interesting to look at the story of Ganesha from the angle of self-enquiry. So how was Ganesha created? Some people have the custom of reading the story of Ganesha at the end of the puja. So this is very briefly telling us the story of Ganesha's creation. So Parvati or Gauri, I'll tell you the Purana story as it is first. And because every Purana story is actually a metaphor, it is telling us a great spiritual truth in the form of a story. So behind the physical story or the literal story, we are also going to look at the symbology. So first, the physical story is like this. Parvati wanted to have a bath. So she didn't want anyone, even Shiva, to come in when she's bathing. So she told Nandi, Shiva's Vahana, she told him, Nandi, please stand here. Don't let anyone inside. Nandi said, all right. So Parvati went in and she started bathing. But Shiva came. And Shiva came and said, I want to go inside. Nandi is Shiva's Vahana, vehicle of Lord Shiva. So he could not refuse admission to Lord Shiva because his loyalty, his primary loyalty is towards Shiva. So he allowed Shiva to go in. So next, Parvati said, I need another guard because Nandi let in Shiva. I don't know whom else he will let in next time. Fortunately, it was only Shiva, so it is okay. So I'm going to create a sun. So taking the turmeric, which had been smeared all over her body for the bath, she created a small boy from it. And she infused him with life and called him Ganesha. And she said, okay, now next time I want to have a bath, he will guard my privacy. So next time she went to have a bath, she placed Ganesha outside the door and she said, don't let anybody in. He said, all right, mother. So Shiva came. After a while, Shiva came. And Ganesha did not let him in because his loyalty was primarily towards his own mother. He didn't even know this is my father. He refused admission. He said, I cannot let you in. My mother has told me nobody can come in. Please stand there. So initially Shiva tried to convince him, coax him, because he's a small boy after all. But this boy is not willing to listen. Then the entire army of Shiva will attack Ganesha. Ganesha is a brave boy. He defeats the entire army of Shiva. So finally, Shiva himself cuts away the head of Ganesha with his Trishula. The head gets detached from the body. Parvati comes and is devastated. And she says, I'm going to destroy the entire world. Whole of creation I'm going to destroy. because you killed my son. So then Brahma intervenes and he says, no, no, let us, if we bring this boy back to life, will you then drop this idea of destroying creation, Parvati? So Parvati says, yes. Two conditions. You have to bring my son back to life, first condition. Then this boy, my son, has to be worshipped first. Before any other deity can be worshipped, he should be worshipped first. That's my second condition. Those two are fulfilled, I will not destroy creation. So then Shiva tells Brahma, go and bring the head of any other creature, whichever creature is facing north. You cut the head of that creature and bring it to me. I will attach that to this body. So as a child, I always used to ask, Ganesha's head is lying there. I would ask my mother, since Ganesha's head was lying there, his own human head was lying there, why didn't they attach it to the body instead of going and searching for some other head? But from the spiritual angle, there is an answer to that question. From the physical angle, there may not be an answer. So Brahma goes and brings the head of an elephant that was sleeping with its head towards the north. And then Shiva attaches that big elephant head to this body of the small boy, and he breathes life back into the boy, and he says, now this boy is the son of Parvati and Shiva, and he makes him the lord of all Gana. A Gana is it's a creature. So all Ganas means all the creatures in creation. So Ganesha is the lord of all the creatures in creation, and he is the first deity to be worshipped before any other puja. So this is the story of Ganesha. Now we come to the symbology. So Parvati is nothing but Shakti or Prakriti. She is creating all forms of creation. She is Mother Nature. And she tells Nandi. Nandi is an advanced sadhak who is always thinking of the Lord. Because the Lord is the Vahana of the Lord. So all the time he feels he is the Vahana. When do we feel we are the Vahana of the Lord? Each one of us, we are the Vahana of the Lord actually. But do we feel it? We don't feel it, but Nandi felt it. Nandi felt he was the Vahana. He felt he is always carrying the Lord. So because of that constant focus on Shiva, constant focus on the Lord, when he was guarding the door, Parvati taking a bath means Chitta Shuddhi. A sadhak has to undergo a lot of Chitta Shuddhi. Bathing is purification. So a lot of purification may be through Karma Yoga, maybe through Upasana, maybe through self-enquiry. So whatever is the path we have chosen, a lot of Chitta Shuddhi has to happen. All the Bandha Vasanas have to be dropped one by one, till we can come to the point where we are eligible for self-knowledge, or we are in a position to drop the I thought. Otherwise, that Fevicol, that magnetic quality, that holding, that attachment is so strong, we are not able to drop it. So we should have so much Chitta Shuddhi that we are able to drop the I thought. Nandi had come to that stage where he was always focused on the Lord. When Shiva came, instantly Shiva could go inside. That means that sadhak is rooted in the I thought, but able to function in the world. So somebody in a state of Sahaja Samadhi, Ajnani, is anchored in the identity of the self, but he is able to function in the world. So that is the first part of the story. Then we come to the second part of the story. So in the second part, Ganesha is a sadhak whom Parvati stations outside the door, and she says, don't let anybody inside. So that means unless you are ripe for self-knowledge, it will not be given to you. You should come to the stage where you are ripe. So Ganesha, when he was standing outside, more Chitta Shuddhi is going on inside because Parvati is bathing. So when Shiva comes, Nandi could recognize Shiva immediately. Why? Because he thought he was Shiva's Vahana. So, but Ganesha is not able to recognize divinity. He is not able to recognize the self because he has he is identified with the ego, with the BMI thought. Symbolized by his own head. And Shiva also represents a guru over here. So the guru has come to give him self-knowledge, but the disciple is not yet prepared for it. The armies of Shiva come and fight with Ganesha. That means Guru tries so many strategies to give self-knowledge to the disciple. He can't give self-knowledge. All he has to do is make the disciple help him to drop the limited ego, BMI thought. He just has to drop BMI thought, but Ganesha is not ready to drop the BMI thought. He resists all the strategies of Shiva. Then finally, Shiva beheads him. That means Shiva himself helps him finally remove the I thought. The head, chopping of the head is dropping of the BMI thought. So small head is dropped, a gigantic head. In India, the biggest animal is the elephant. And its head is gigantic. Facing north, we confuse this with north, south, east, west. And we think you should never sleep with your head to the north. But actually facing north only means, normally going northward in spirituality means on the evolutionary spiral going upwards. South means evolutionary spiral coming downward. But this is only indicative, that's all. It doesn't mean physically sleeping with your head to the north or south. So elephant sleeping with its head to the north means an evolved soul, Agnani. So that elephant head is brought and attached to the human body. That means the elephant is cosmic identity. The small head, the human head, was identifying only with the that particular body, whereas this elephant head identifies with all the ganas, that means all the creatures in creation. Everybody in the self and the self in everyone. So it indicates the transit from individuality to universality. Ganesha is the Lord of all creatures. So even in his form, if we see, he has a big head, means importance of intellect in sadhana, for jnana marga, for Atma Vichara. For viveka, viveka is nothing but a highly sharpened intellect. So viveka or intellect is so important for a sadhak. Nitya, nitya viveka. What is permanent, what is not permanent? What is myself, what is not the self? So this viveka should be very sharpened. Ears are so big, Shravana. So keep on listening to the teachings of the scriptures, to the teachings of the Sadguru. Shravana matrena mukti, Vedanta tells us. Finally, it is only by listening to the teachings that you get liberated. So ears are very huge. And mouth is actually small. Talk less, listen more. Eyes are small and focused. So be focused in everything that you do. Then the belly is so big. The belly actually indicates digestion capacity. So to digest all the circumstances of life, sad things, catastrophes, crisis, elating incident, take it all like a sthita prajna. Don't get elated, don't go down to the dumps. Why? Because you are the universal entity, you are the self, you are the substratum, and the whole of creation is in the self. There is no duality. So whatever life brings, it is fine, because you are always anchored in bliss. There is no resistance to anything that life brings. And the trunk is very, very flexible. So a jnani is able to find out the best possible strategy to communicate jnana to the disciple. He is very flexible, very versatile. For some, he communicates in one way, for some, he communicates in another way. And finally, remember, we immerse the idol of Ganesha in water. That means Ganesha is Nirakara. Ajam nirvikalpam nirakara rupam. We have that hymn of Ganesha. So Ganesha is the formless self, but he is manifesting in this form to convey all this to us. So we should not forget what is behind the form. We should not forget what is behind the story. We should pay attention to the symbology. So every Ganesha Puja, we go from the individual to the universal, from the universal to the formless, to the self. So this is the journey of every sadhak on the spiritual path. So I think with that, we will finish the discourse for today. And may this Ganesh Chaturthi bring health, abundance, peace, bliss, and self-awareness to all of us. Thank you. I'll come out of the presentation. I think there are questions in the chat, and if you want to ask more, you're welcome. Let me open the chat. Can you please, Janki Ram is asking, can you please elaborate on what is meant by extinction or annihilation of attachment, family, friends, and others? So it is like nobody is different from you, first of all. For us, that may be a little difficult to imagine because separation has been the norm for us. We function from this body, mind, intellect, identity. We function with this concept of inside and outside. But when we drop the I am the way my thought, everybody becomes. So you love them more. You'll be able to do much more for them. The conditioned responses which we have. See, a spouse may be so close to us, but then now and then arguments spark up for small things, right? We have our perception of that spouse or that family member or that friend. We have created a self-image for them, and we cling on to that self-image. We don't let it go. So if wife or husband says, you know, this could have been done a little better, always you'll be telling me that whatever I say, nothing is done properly. Always you're criticizing. We love the spouse. We love the husband or wife or child or friend. Then why is this reaction coming? Conditioning. I'm clinging to my self-image. I'm clinging to friend's self-image. Something is not corresponding the way I'm perceiving it. I'm seeing that as criticism, or I feel my self-esteem is damaged. So all the time in every relationship, we are literally holding a sword and a shield. Now fencing is going on. Even in close relationships, manipulation will go on, fencing goes on, conditioned responses are there, reactions are there. I'm not saying there's a lot of, there's no love or you don't enjoy each other's company, or it's not that. but it is not really complete. Here, when there is self, you are anchored in the self, and everybody is a part of your own being. They're not different from you. Automatically, what you can give them is much more. It's abundant, it's infinity. You are infinity, you can share infinity. You are infinity, they are infinity. So the relationship goes up to a totally different level, not just with your family and friends. Anybody who comes to you is your own self. Before, that person was a stranger. Before, that person was somebody else. But now, not like that. Every single person is your own self. So sometimes there was a person called Seshadri Swami in Tiruvannamalai. He has, Seshadri Ashram is actually right next to Ramana Ashram, if you've gone there. And in the beginning stages, when Ramana Maharshi was not eating, Seshadri Swami took care of him for some time. So he was a great Avaduta on his own. So sometimes later, when more and more devotees would come and they would ask the way to Ramana Ashram, he would say, go up, there is Kandashram there. You will find a big samsari. There is no sannyasi there. Ramana is not a sannyasi, he is a big samsari. Is Ramana samsari? Because everybody in the world is his family. Everybody in the world is himself. They are different from him. So actually, getting anchored in the self will make everything unconditional. Right now, what we are giving everybody is conditional only. You do this, I'll do this. You don't do this, I don't care to do this. But many times these are unspoken conditions in the unconscious mind. But when we identify with the I, then all conditions are dropped. There are no conditions anymore. When entire lifetime is a dream, then what is the necessities for sadhana or meditation? Entire lifetime is a dream, but are we not suffering in the dream? And when one dream is over, we come back for one more dream, and then one more dream, and then one more dream. So sadhana is not required as long as you are happy with the dream. There are many people in this world, majority of the people in this world are still happy with the dream. In spite of challenges, in spite of crisis coming and going, they are still happy with the dream. That's why they're not asking existential questions. And they're not going to do sadhana also. But when we realize, I'm not happy with this dream, I want lasting happiness. I don't want happiness coming and going. I want lasting peace. I'm tired of all this stress and distress. Then it is important to wake up from the dream. Until you feel it is a nightmare, you don't want to wake up from the dream. Dream is so nice. Let me dream. But if dream becomes terrifying, then you need to wake up from the dream. So it is for those people that sadhana is there. Those who want to wake up from the dream.
Vani, good explanations. Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying the distinction between I and I with beautiful and to the point anecdotes and quotes. That is from Padmini. Thank you, Padmini. This will certainly help when I ask this question during my meditation on this. Okay. Then, we have some more thank yous. Then Jivatma, Paramatma, dual or unique? Why we differentiate? The question is not very clear. Can you unmute and ask, please?
We always keep differentiating and mentioning ಜೀವಾತ್ಮದಿಂದ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೇವೆ, ಜೀವಾತ್ಮನೊಡನೆ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನ ಮಿಲನ, ಇದನ್ನ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಹೀಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಡ್ಯುಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಎರಡು ಜೀವಾನೇ ಬೇರೆ ಪರಮಾನೇ ಬೇರೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದರ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಚುವಲ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. we have different spiritual models. So each model is a little different from the other model. So here we are looking at the Advaita Vedanta model. In the Advaita Vedanta model, Jiva and Jiva is actually called Atma, and between Atma and Paramatma, the essence is the same. Essence is not different. Both are made up of the same essence. So it is like last time, one of the previous sessions, we have taken an example. There is a pot. Inside the pot, we have space. Outside the pot, we have space. If the space in the pot is not covered, okay, the mouth of the pot is open. Now, space inside the pot can either identify with the space outside, which is unlimited, or it can identify with the pot, the container. Then immediately it becomes limited. So if you identify with the container, you are Jivatma. If the space identifies with the container, it is Jivatma. If the space identifies with outer space, which is unlimited, that is Paramatma. So in essence, is there any difference between the space outside and the space in the pot?
Not all.
There's no difference, right? Both are space. It is only with respect to identity. Where are you identifying yourself? With what are you identifying yourself? One identification makes you limited, gives you a feeling of separation from everything else. So you start, the process of suffering will start. The other identification, pot is still there, but if you are identifying with the self, unlimited self, which you are actually, pot can still be there, but because you are not identifying with the pot, anything that happens to the pot will not gladden or sadden you. Because you know that you are not just that space inside the pot. You know that you are not the pot. You know that your identity is vast, unlimited, infinite, changeless, bliss, peace. So Jivatma is it's a thought. I am the body, mind, and intellect is just a very strong thought, a belief. A belief is a thought. But a thought with such strong roots to which we are so attached that when one body goes away, it drops dead. Immediately we want another body. Because I'm attached to the body, I can't live without the body. So I immediately look for another body. So that is how we keep on taking more and more births. So if you identify with the self, no longer with the body, then you don't seek a body afterwards. That's the end of rebirth cycle. Was it clear?
Yes.
Okay, I think we are done. No more questions here. So we can spend 5 minutes in meditation. Let's take a comfortable meditative posture. Keep the spine straight. Eyes lightly closed. Focus on your breathing. Slow and deep breathing. In every breath, there is an exhalation, a natural pause, inhalation, again, natural pause. Be aware of all of them. Gentle, effortless awareness. No stress, no pressure. Feel your mind becoming more and more peaceful. You're always aware that you exist. Just take your attention to that direct experience. I exist. I am aware that I exist. A very easy, familiar feeling. The only thing that you know without proof. I am. Breathing may still go on, but now shift your focus to I am. You may be aware of the breathing, but let your focus be on I exist. I am. Is the eternal witness which is there in all three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. I am. Any sounds that come, thoughts that come, let them come and go. Don't let them disturb you. Just witness them. I am.
I put the spare battery. Spare battery to put it. This is the spare battery. Put it, now it starts again. Starts again. Oh, it stopped. Now this spare old battery is gone.
Let us offer our pranams to Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, who has given this wonderful wisdom to us. May His grace protect us, envelop us. May the awareness triggered within us remain, anchor us in the self. May all beings be happy. Before I wind up, one part of the last question I didn't address. I just like to add a couple of sentences to that answer. Part of the question was, Atma has to merge with Paramatma. That is the yogic model. In the Advaitic model, you are always the self. Never a point of time where you have not been the self or you are not the self. It is just that, are you aware of it or not? That's all. Awareness factor is missing. And when you become aware of your true identity and you stay there, that is called self-knowledge. Thank you. Over to Sajni or Malvi or whoever is taking over.
Yeah. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. Okay. Thank you very much, Vani, on behalf of the school, on the organizers and the participants. You elucidated the verses 20 and verse 21, and you have elucidated verse 21 and the 20 and 21st verse, and we look forward to seeing you next Saturday at 6 p.m. everyone. Thank you once again. When I would like to also announce that tomorrow part 12 of Tattva Bodha will be covered tomorrow at 10 a.m. and will finish at 11:30 a.m. and this program is by Mr. Krishnapani. On Thursday the 27th, My Guru and I by Rukmani Prabhakar will be the satsang starting at 6:30 p.m. I look forward to all of you participating, and please bring your friends and tell your friends also to please attend. All these programs are very nice and please do come. Thank you once again.
Link for these programs, madam.
Excuse me? The details of the programs, the links and so etc. will be posted on the School of Ancient Wisdom, which plays host at that time, and you will be able to see the link as well as the password. Actually,
We have not been
the same one.
so far.
It's the same one that you all have used
Same.
for coming on. Yeah. So please preserve the numbers, 166-486-3388 on WebEx, and the password will be 1234. Usually there will be no change, but on that day of the program, it will be definitely posted on the School of Ancient Wisdom once again, so that you can just check out on that. And if you want to get added into that school group, you may leave your phone numbers on the chat, and Sajni will add you on to the group.
Right.
Now,
whoever wants to
I
be
would like
on the
you-
WhatsApp, kindly put name and number, and we'll add you on the WhatsApp group, and you will get to know about all our programs. Thank you. Loka Samasta.
And we will just close our eyes, mute, and we will recite Loka Samasta. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Vani, thank you so much. And a very, very happy Ganesha to you, and a very, very happy Ganesha to everybody. We especially during this COVID time, to remove all these obstacles. And thank you once again, everyone, for being with us. Kindly log in again tomorrow morning.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank
Sach.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sach.
Malti. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vani.
Ram.
Ram,
Nice to see you.
I don't think he's unmuted.
No, he's smiling at me.
All right. Happy Ganesha, Ram.